woman to pick a fight with, and this is the wrong FBI director if you expected some guy to roll over to protect them. So there you go, Brandon.
There you have it. So we'll see.
You see any of those names you recognize?
No, and no, I didn't. And there's a lot of abbreviations, you see. So, Logan, you found a few? Okay, a former Secretary of Treasury, he recognized his name? Okay. Other people?
Jack Lew?
Who? Oh.
It was just the Secretary of the Treasury. Who? Larry Summers, maybe?
That's what he said, yes.
Wow.
But I haven't seen it, so I can't verify that. Here's
Unverified report.
Finally, I'm seeing a name.
Larry Summers is one on the flight log.
Who?
So
I'm seeing a few names.
The name I was looking for is in the C's. CLI.
Well, I'm sure. I mean, I don't know. I'll tell you this, that plane was really busy. That thing was going.
I would love it if John Roberts was on that flight log, because I've heard, I think there are flight logs. And to be fair to some of these people, Epstein was a man in business in New York, though the amount he portrayed himself as some kind of independent investor involved in venture capital and things. But an inventory of his deals actually shows he very rarely actually executed any sort of deals that would explain his phenomenal wealth, except for a company called The Limited and Victoria's Secrets, which he was deeply involved with, financing and things like that. But other than that, he wasn't any kind of Wall Street, mogul or anything like that. And so, but however, he did use his plane to curry favor. And so people could hop rides to conferences and different things. So not everybody flying on the plane was, not all of it was nefarious. And a lot of people were innocently touched on this. And I think he did that deliberately just to taint as many people as possible for possible, blackmail. I believe he was running a blackmail operation. I believe that he was involved with at least one foreign intelligence service. And in that world, he may have been working tangentially with maybe our government and some of our allied governments. And there you go.
Do you want to name what government you think besides ours?
No.
But I think I can read your mind,
I don't know.
though.
Just minding my own business. I don't want any trouble.
I don't want any trouble.
I'm sure he's a very good man. I'm sure there's a reasonable explanation for Chief Justice John Roberts flying to Jeffrey Epstein's island.
Oh. Has he done that? Did he do that?
He's on one of the flight logs. So but I'm sure if he was implicated in any kind of scandal, I'm sure there's a reasonable explanation.
Because there were a few people on there who said, yeah, I did that, but here's what was going on. And my kids were with me, by the way.
Yeah, well, Alan Dershowitz, who's a great jurist, not jurist, but great attorney and doctor of jurisprudence, a legendary Harvard professor. And, he was on the plane and he said, well, yeah, I was getting, Jeffrey Epstein volunteered. He raised at Harvard. He raised money for Harvard. And so Harvard University would say, hey, the guy's giving a lot of money to Harvard. Would you hang out with him? So I hang out with him. That's the way things happen. Mm. It is interesting that police officer who was his cellmate said that the Justice Department from the Southern District of New York told Epstein that if he turned on Trump or gave them any kind of dirt on Trump, they would basically cut him the sweetheart deal.
Wow.
And he told the cop, but I don't have anything on Trump. And what's further interesting is this is while Trump was president of the United States. So his own Justice Department, which we already knew.
Right.
Certainly Nixon dealt with the same problem. Nixon's Justice Department was full of guys left over from Kennedy and Johnson. And they were all looking to kneecap Nixon. And, the same thing.
Wow. All right. Well, we'll see where that all goes. Let's go to President Trump in the Oval today with the Prime Minister of Great Britain, Keir Starmer, correct?
Keir Starmer.
Yep. Here we go.
Just to follow up on that, if British troops are in Ukraine keeping the peace and get attacked by Russia, will you come to their aid?
If the British people are in Ukraine and they get attacked,
If British soldiers are in Ukraine.
you know, I've always found about the British, they don't need much help. They can take care of themselves very well.
That sounds like
You know what? No, it sounds like it's evasive, but it's not evasive. You know, the British have been incredible soldiers, incredible military, and they can take care of themselves. But if they need help, I'll always be with the British, okay? I'll always be with them. But they don't need help. You look at their career, you have done very well over the years, haven't you?
We have. I'm very proud of our country. And but we've also always been there backing each other up between our two countries. That is why this is the greatest alliance for prosperity and security I think the world has ever seen. Whenever necessary, we've absolutely backed each other up, and that's at the
Could
core
you take on Russia by yourselves?
Well,
All right, one or two.
By the way, is it just me or is there more gold appearing now in the Oval Office? I think I've seen a little bit more gold coming in. The gold behind him on the table. Look at that.
It must be done.
Look at that.
It must be done.
Look at normally we had some green. Normally there was some green ivy up there.
No. We
Not
need
anymore.
the gold.
I mean, for years.
There's more
going
gold
back to
on
like
that mantle
FDR.
than in all of Fort Knox.
Yep. That we know where all the gold is. It's been melted down into furniture for the Oval Office.
I love the idea that Trump meets with these guys not by himself, but he has these like his team with him, right? And so they asked JD Vance a question. He's like, well, here's JD Vance right here. JD can answer that question. You don't need me. Here he is. And he says, you know, like the other day, they asked him a question about that base in Greece. He says, Marco, is that true? Marco's like, no, that isn't true. It's like, I'm right here. What do you, so also, the other night, or was it last night, we were talking about Emmanuel Macron and his body language, right?
Right.
With the man spread and his hands on his knees, right? Like he's a Chinese emperor, and the 30-minute handshakes and the touching back and forth. Keir Starmer's body language, that guy doesn't have a care in the world. That guy, for all of his sins, right? That guy is comfortable in his skin, and he's just like sucking it all in. He's fine. He's not here to prove it. He's like, whatever, here I am, right? So Trump is back in his alpha pose, but Keir's like, whatever.
Trump is back in his alpha pose. There it is right there. Which, I'm loving this presidential seal right in the table. I don't remember that with any other president, but I must say I like it.
Yeah, it's great.
I don't know if they ordered that up or if that was somewhere else in the White House. It's like, hey, you know what? Put that in the center of the room with a seal on there. I don't know. I've never seen it before. I
think it should be available for viewers at the Worldview Tube merchandise store.
We're going to start selling coffee tables with the presidential seal.
Maybe some gold vases for your mantelpiece.
You know, let's go back to this mantle. Speaking of the mantle.
Only $40,000. It can be yours.
I used to have a plant. I had a plant that it was up there at the Oval Office, or up there. There's a plant going across. There was several pots of this green ivory, and it was pushed together you can see it in the White House photos of many, many, many presidents going back many, 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 many decades. And I had it for years and years and years and years.
That kind of decor, it reeks of January 19th to me. This is a Trump White House friend. We don't do do green.
But you know that the former pilot of Air Force One, he gave a clipping of it to a friend, and my friend gave me a clipping of it. And for years I had it. Then we went out of town, and the doggone thing died about 2 years ago. And I had it for like 15 years, and I kept it in great shape. But
we were talking. We had some great potpourri talk yesterday. When I was at St. Louis Parish in Alexandria, there was this woman I detected in Boston. I grew up in the Boston area, but I've lost my accent. But I detected an accent I said, hey, where are you from? What's your deal? And we started talking. When Pope John Paul II celebrated Mass at the Boston Common, they had all these yellow and white marigolds, right? Like, it was beautiful, right? It was
Right.
because the flag of the papacy is like yellow and white, right?
Yes.
And she told me that afterwards they were giving them away. She grabbed some of them, brought them home. And so she told me, she was very proud. She said, these in my yard, they are not the actual marigolds from the Mass, but they are the direct descendants of the marigolds from the Mass.
Well, that's what I had for 15 years until I
A direct descendant.
made the mistake of going on vacation, left someone else in charge of it, and they didn't water it, and it died. President Trump, I think he forgot calling Zelensky a dictator. He forgot. Did I say that? Did I say that? He said, watch.
Them is
Maybe
not the
he
best.
didn't.
Mr. President, do you still think that Mr. Zelensky is a dictator?
Did I say that? I can't believe I said that. Next question.
I don't think it ever happened. Fake news.
Oh, gosh. Let's see. What else do we have? Okay. USAID workers given 15 minutes to clean out their desks. Oh, that's my notes. We don't need to show my notes.
Frankly, that's a little generous.
What, 15
but-
minutes was?
Yeah. So I think also in my notes there's we see that unemployment claims are up in the Washington area at a 2-year high.
Yeah.
So for the month of February, 22,000 claims, initial claims for unemployment, which is great news. And I don't even, I would have to dig deeper for Maryland and Northern Virginia. But, the hits just keep on coming. The richest county in the United States is Lando County, outside of Washington, D.C., by Dulles Airport. And honestly, 40 or 50 years ago, it was just farms.
I know.
and
I was
trees
living there.
And
I was
Civil
living
War
there.
battlefields.
I was living there then. You're exactly
That was
right.
country living out there.
In fact, I knew a guy that ran a Christian school in Fairfax, and he bought a bunch of that farmland out there around Dulles Airport. I'm sure his family, his kids and grandkids now are worth a fortune.
His great grandkids are going to be the most obnoxious people in Princeton. It's what is it with those kids, right? 100 years. What is it with those kids? Oh, his great grandfather
Owned all the land around Dulles
acres,
Airport.
2 acres of land in Landau County, and that was his fortune. Trillions, worth trillions.
Tell me about the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration workers. What were they? They were told to do what?
Well, Noah is not just a river in Egypt. And before we go into that, there's a quick question. Do you know the difference between Joan of Arc and Noah's Ark?
No, I don't.
So Noah's Ark was made of wood, and Joan of Arc was made of Orleans. So Noah is the National
Oceanic
and Atmospheric Administration.
Right.
It is one of the 8 uniformed services. It's a naval organization. So for their top officer is actually an admiral. And when I was in the U.S. Coast Guard at sea, defending this country and interdicting drugs coming north from the Caribbean, from time to time we would bump into one of these NOAA ships. And it was great because they always had amazing Dove ice cream, all this fancy ice cream in the freezer that we regular sailors wouldn't get, right? So we could trade coffee and other things with them, and that was fantastic. But NOAA has ships all over the place, and they have planes. Their planes fly into hurricanes.
Yeah.
They do a lot of fantastic work, but they were hijacked by the left
For climate
to be
change.
the lead agency in the global warming hoax.
Yes.
Including, they did a study that President Obama referenced as justification for joining the Paris Accords. And when Congress asked for the sort of the work product, like the actual, like, how did you come up with this? They refused to get handed over. It was subpoenaed. They denied the subpoenas. They were going to hold people in contempt. They refused to give up the ghost on these, on the documentation for this NOAA study because it was all garbage. And great. It's like there's 13,000 employees of NOAA, an agency few people have even heard of. And 800 got the boot today. And I hope some more hit the brick soon.
800 of them given the boot. All right. What about the, I think, did you mention today's Labor Department report, a 2-year high?
Yeah, the unemployment report came out today. And it's interesting, right, that unemployment is going up a little bit. But that's actually deflationary. So people talk about the inflationary pressure of all of these migrants who are basically working as slaves. So all these leftists, the reason why these leftists love illegals is because they need someone to mow their lawn, babysit their kids, paint their house, wash dishes.
Did we just lost your mic? We just lost your mic. We just lost your mic. Hey, we just lost your microphone. Like the battery went dead or something. Huh. Well, isn't that the weirdest thing? We lost his mic, but he's going to work on it. In the meantime, do you appreciate the show? You know, one thing we hardly ever do here, folks, on this show for sure, because it's only 30 minutes, is stop to plug anything. Because I don't want to, so much to talk about with Neil. But if you appreciate what we're doing, would you please go over to worldviewtube.com while he fixes his mic. Go over to worldviewtube.com/sponsors. Go over here to worldviewtube.com/sponsors because a lot of you asked for this. They're like, we want to use the products you guys talk about and that you personally take. We want to make sure we're going to the right website so your organization gets credit. So we listened and we made a website where we have all of our sponsors, worldviewtube.com/sponsors. We have a lower third for that, Logan. He's probably helping Neil with the microphone. worldviewtube.com/sponsors. You'll find out about all of our different sponsors. The one that is our biggest sponsor, if you want to know the truth, is this one right up here, Bella Grace. It is a powerful elixir. I take it every day. Collagen with the peptides cut short, your body actually absorbed it. Astaxanthin that crosses the brain-blood barrier to take on free radicals. And it also has something called cat's claw, which is an anti-inflammatory. So if you want to check out all of our sponsors that help make this program possible, you can do that by going to worldviewtube.com/sponsors so you can help keep this network and this show going, and our DC reporter, Neil McCabe, so we can buy him a new microphone. All right, we got it fixed, I think.
Hello, testing.
Gotcha. I can hear you. What happened?
Who knows? Mistakes were made, but there's a new team in place and under new management.
Everyone has been fired and replaced in the last 90 seconds.
At McCabe Entertainment Enterprises, I just showed about 800 people hit the bricks. I gave them 15 minutes to clear out their gear. Hey, don't pack up your desk. We'll mail it to you. Just get out.
Did they really get 15 minutes to clean out their desk?
I wouldn't have given them 15 minutes. I would have given them a kick in the shins. I'm so tired of these people whining. These people have lived like kings with no accountability, just plenty of money over and over, just more every year, more and more money, handing it out to all their friends.
$40 million a week to the Taliban, right, Logan? Was it the Taliban?
Great bunch of kids.
$40 million a week.
I don't know what to tell you. They're just absolutely out of control. And but in many ways, Trump has been considered not Reagan. And I think a lot of people, a lot of sort of old school Republicans, sort of the never Trumpers, they always complain that Trump is not Reagan. But what Trump is doing is finishing the unfinished, uncompleted magisterium of Reagan. Take back the Panama Canal. Reagan campaigned. Reagan promised me he would get rid of the Department of Education, the Department of Energy, and he would fire all these federal employees, and he would lay the wood to Washington, D.C. And, you know, when Clinton won in 92, there was a lot of conservatives voted for Clinton because of just the anger that after 12 years, like, you know, we sent the Republicans to burn the place to the ground. We didn't send you there so that you would get a job at a foundation and your wife gets a sweetheart job and you're sending your kid to Georgetown Prep. Like, stop marrying with the natives.
And that's what they
burn
did.
the place to the ground.
And now Trump's doing it. Now Trump's actually doing it. By the way, many of us were really impressed with Scott Turner, the Secretary of Housing and Urban Development, with his prayer at the first cabinet meeting. Here he is talking about some money he has saved. He has saved quite a bit of money. Let's go to that.
You know, we have a DOGE task force at HUD, and so we found $260 million in savings and contracts. $4 million of that was in DEI contracts that were for cultural transformation, which has nothing to do with the mission of HUD, and also an additional $1.9 billion in misplaced funds. And so, you know, part of being servant leaders like Brooke and I and our cabinet colleagues is to be good stewards of American taxpayer dollars.
$1.9 billion, and I think we're just talking about his agency, HUD.
We might not need to raise the debt ceiling. You know, and that Ross Vogt, for years, now, of course, he's the director of the Office of Management and Budget. He had that job in the last year of the Trump administration before, couldn't get confirmed because Senate Republicans wouldn't vote for him. But he has said that the current receipts to the federal government are enough to pay for the federal government if we just stopped throwing the money away.
Wow.
And it isn't great that these guys are talking about DOGE. In other administrations, you would have infighting, people would get all territorial. Everyone is on board. They keep trying to pick fights with these different cabinet secretaries and DOGE, and they are all in on DOGE. Frankly, I think I need DOGE in my own family just to sort of straighten things out around here.
Indeed. And I want to also, by the way, acknowledge the passing of Gene Hackman. Very sad news. My wife came into the dressing room when I was getting ready for this show this morning to get on the air. And she said, Gene Hackman was just found dead along with his wife and dog. I said, oh, it's horrific. He's one of my favorite actors, a very, very gifted actor. And of course, many are wanting to find out what happened. We have a restaurant here in town. You know, The Firm was filmed here in town with Gene Hackman and many stars, including Tom Cruise, right? And one of Melissa and I's favorite restaurants we go to, we can sit in the actual chairs that Tom Cruise or Gene Hackman sat in, and we've had dinner in those chairs many times. We each have a plaque on it. Anyway, great actor. I remember in his movie Hoosiers and so many more. Passing of Gene Hackman.
Tonight we're watching The French Connection.
Oh. Tonight on the Worldview Report, HHS Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr. makes one of his big moves, ordering a pause on a multi-million-dollar contract with a pharmaceutical company that makes new COVID vaccines. The U.S. Department of Homeland Security said on Tuesday that immigrants in the country illegally must register with the federal government, and that failing to do so will result in fines, potential imprisonment, or both. And the CDC makes a vaccine move directly defying orders from President Donald Trump and his HHS Secretary Bobby Kennedy. Another close call at Reagan National Airport. And we have new details about those files being destroyed by FBI deep state operatives. All these stories and more as the Worldview Report begins right now.
This is Worldview Report with host Brandon House. Whether it is news from the nation's capital or your state capital, from the classroom to the boardroom, from national security to national and local news that impacts you and your family, Worldview Report is your trusted source for vital and uncensored news. And now, here is Brandon House.
Good evening and welcome to the Worldview Report. Leading up tonight, Department of Health and Human Services Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr. has paused a multi-million-dollar contract from the Biden administration to create a new COVID-19 vaccine. Kennedy issued a 90-day stop work order on Friday related to the HHS contract with American biotech company VaxArt Inc. That company is working to develop a new COVID-19 vaccine that can be taken orally. The stop work order comes as 10,000 individuals were slated to begin clinical trials on Monday. Kennedy said in a statement provided to Fox News Digital on Tuesday, quote, "While it is crucial that the Department of Health and Human Services support pandemic preparedness, 4 years of the Biden administration's failed oversight have made it necessary to review agreements for vaccine production, including VaxArt's. I look forward to working with VaxArt and medical experts to ensure this work produces safe, effective, and fiscal-minded vaccine technology," end quote.